You are watching Viking TV.
UFO sightings and conspiracies have been a hot topic ever since the earliest recorded sighting in 218 BC by Titus Livius. Some of the conspiracies surrounding the sightings have grown to legendary status, and in this video we present the 7 most talked about UFO conspiracies in history. Enjoy!
Number 7. The War of the Worlds.
On the night before Halloween in 1938, Orson Welles directed a live radio adaptation of H.G. Wells' classic novel, The War of the Worlds. By mimicking a news broadcast, the show was quite realistic sounding for its time, and some listeners were fooled into thinking that a Martian invasion was underway in the United States. Widespread confusion was followed by outrage and controversy. Some later studies have argued that the contemporary press exaggerated the extent of the panic, but it remains clear that many people were caught up to some degree in the confusion. In other countries, reactions were similar. In 1949, part of the script for The War of the Worlds was read out over the radio in Quito, Ecuador without announcement, as if it were a major piece of breaking news. Huge crowds of people emerged onto the streets and sought refuge inside churches with their families. When the radio station was informed of this, its announcers broadcast the fact that no invasion was happening. An angry mob formed and burned the station to the ground, causing between 6 and 20 deaths. Many other countries also experienced problems when broadcasting The War of the Worlds.
Number 6. Ghost Rockets.
In 1946 and 1947, numerous incidents of so-called ghost rockets were reported over Scandinavian countries, primarily Sweden, which then spread into other European countries. One USAF top-secret document from 1948 stated that Swedish Air Force intelligence informed them that some of their investigators felt that the reported objects were not only real, but could not be explained as having earthly origins. Similarly, 20 years later, Greek physicist Dr. Paul Santorini publicly stated that in 1947 he was put in charge of a Greek military investigation into reports of ghost rockets sighted over Greece. Again, they quickly concluded the objects were real and not of conventional origin. Santorini claimed their investigations was killed by US scientists and high military officials who had already concluded the objects were extraterrestrial in origin and feared public panic because no defense existed.
Number 5. Mantle Incident.
In 1948, Air Force pilot Thomas Mantell was killed in a crash while pursuing what he described as a metallic object of tremendous size. Project Blue Book, a study of UFOs, concluded that Mantell had lost control of his aircraft while chasing a then classified skyhook balloon. Some ufologists reject Blue Book's conclusion because of its initial suggestion that Mantell was chasing Venus or a comet. The Mantle Incident was reported by newspapers around the nation and received significant news media attention. A number of sensational rumors were also circulated about Mantell's crash. According to UFO historian Curtis Peebles, among the rumors were claims that the flying saucer was a Soviet missile.
Number 4. Foo Fighters.
The first sightings occurred in November 1944 when pilots flying over Western Europe by night reported seeing fast-moving, round-glowing objects following their aircraft. The objects were described as fiery and glowing red, white or orange. Some pilots described them as resembling Christmas tree lights and reported that they seemed to toy with the aircraft, making wild turns before simply vanishing. Pilots and aircrew reported that the objects flew formation with their aircraft and behaved as if they were under intelligent control, but never displayed hostile behavior. However, they could not be outmaneuvered or shot down. The phenomenon was so widespread that the lights earned a name. In the European theater of operations, they were often called Kraut fireballs, but for the most part called Foo Fighters. The military took the sightings seriously, suspecting that the mysterious sightings might be secret German weapons. But further investigations revealed that German and Japanese pilots had reported similar sightings.
Number 3. Robert Lazar.
In November 1989, Bob Lazar appeared in a special interview with investigative reporter George Knapp on Las Vegas TV station KLAS to discuss his alleged employment at S4. In his interview with Knapp, Lazar said he first thought the saucers were secret terrestrial aircraft whose test flights must have been responsible for many UFO reports. Gradually, on closer examination and from having been shown multiple briefing documents, Lazar came to the conclusion that the discs must have been of extraterrestrial origin. He claims that they use moscovium, an element that decays in a fraction of a second, to warp space. According to the Los Angeles Times, he never obtained the degrees he claims to hold from MIT and Caltech. The Lazar story has been brought up again as of 2019, when appearing in several interviews and documentaries.
Number 2. Roswell Incident.
In 1947, the United States Air Force issued a press release stating that a flying disc had been recovered near Roswell, New Mexico. This press release was quickly withdrawn, and officials stated that a weather balloon had been misidentified. The Roswell case quickly faded even from the attention of most ufologists until the 1970s. Speculation persisted despite the official denial that an alien spacecraft crashed near Roswell. For example, retired Brigadier General Arthur E. Exon, former commanding officer of Wright-Patterson AFB, told researchers Kevin D. Randall and Donald R. Schmidt that a spacecraft had crashed, alien bodies were recovered, and the event was covered up by the US government. Exon further claimed he was aware of a very secretive UFO controlling committee, made up primarily of very high-ranking military officers and intelligence people. His nickname for this group was the Unholy 13. In the 1990s, the US military published 2 reports disclosing the true nature of the crashed aircraft, a surveillance balloon from Project Mogul. Nevertheless, the Roswell incident continues to be of interest in popular media, and conspiracy theories surrounding the event persist. Roswell has been described as the world's most famous, most investigated, and most thoroughly debunked UFO claim.
Number 1. Majestic 12.
The concept of Majestic 12 emerged during a period in the 1980s when ufologists believed there had been a cover-up of the Roswell UFO incident and speculated some secretive upper tier of the United States government was responsible. Their suppositions appeared to be confirmed in 1984 when ufologist Jamie Chandera received an envelope containing film which, when developed, showed images of 8 pages of documents that appeared to be briefing papers describing Operation Majestic 12. The documents purported to reveal a secret committee of 12, supposedly authorized by United States President Harry S. Truman in 1952, and explain how the crash of an alien spacecraft at Roswell in 1947 had been concealed, how the recovered alien technology could be exploited, and how the United States should engage with extraterrestrial life in the future. Chandera and his ufologist colleagues Stanton T. Friedman and Bill Moore say they later received a series of anonymous messages, which led them to find what has been called the Cutler-Twining Memo in 1985, while searching declassified files in the National Archives. Purporting to be written by President Eisenhower's assistant Robert Cutler to General Nathan F. Twining and containing a reference to Majestic 12, the memo is widely held to be a forgery, likely planted as a part of a hoax. Historian Robert Goldberg wrote that the ufologists came to believe the story despite the documents being obviously planted to bolster the legitimacy of the briefing papers. Claiming to be connected to the USAF Office of Special Investigations, a man named Richard Doty told filmmaker Linda Moulton Howe that the MJ-12 story was true, and showed how unspecified documents purporting to prove the existence of small grey humanoid aliens originating from the Zeta Reticuli star system. Doty reportedly promised to supply Howe with film footage of UFOs and an interview with an alien being, although no footage ever materialized. Soon, distrust and suspicion led to disagreement within the ufology community over the authenticity of the MJ-12 documents, and Moore was accused of taking part in an elaborate hoax, while other ufologists and debunkers, such as Philip J. Klass, were accused of being disinformation agents. So what do you think? Are these stories real or just fiction? Comment your thoughts below. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to our channel. Thank you.